A show of solidarity from the Melbourne players at Etihad for their NAB Cup clash with Hawthorn, looking to take their minds off the storm of controversy surrounding one of their brightest stars, Liam Jurrah, and they'd launch into the clash.
Just leaping over the pack.
But a win to Hawthorn could see them through to the final, and Buddy does like a stage.
And Buddy will just light it up! Oh, Buddy! What about that? It's NAB Cup. Leave that for the home and away chase.
A sparkling beginning as the Hawks set about their work. They'd kicked the first 6 with Broost
And it's just too easy for Hawthorn at the moment.
and Hale both grabbing doubles.
Slots that one.
But the Demons would hit back with 2 of their own to trail by 23 at quarter time.
Clark's got the body strength. Oh, he did everything but take the mark. He recovered well.
The Hawks would begin the second just as they began the first.
His first goal was spectacular. His second is a miskick. What a shank.
Shank or not, another for Franklin. Jack Watts was starting to make his presence felt. He'd peg one back for the D's.
And he squeezed it through.
And Mitch Clark would get them to within 6 goals. 34 points the difference at half-time. The Hawks first to goal after the break.
Time. And makes certain of it. Kicks his fourth.
Then Lance Franklin would again produce something special.
He's given it plenty. And the Hawks fans are on their feet again. One from the boundary, one from the middle.
The rocket launcher.
Doesn't he know it's March?
Hawks fans' hearts were in their mouths when Buddy limped off after this, but he'd recover quickly.
Oh, he's going to come back on now. That's going to make everyone happy.
Except the D's, maybe. They trail by 58 heading into the final quarter. David Hale making life even more miserable. This is 6th. Howe never lost his enthusiasm.
Oh, there's a Howe. Another Howe special.
But the night belonged to the Hawks. Franklin's 5th, baffling just about everyone.
How does that happen?
Hawthorn dealing with the D's by 79 points. David Murdoch, Big Pond Sport.
Yeah, they moved it pretty well. They were clearly their ball movement was very crisp, and we couldn't cope with it.
Tonight, just a reminder of what a big job Melbourne's got to complete those teams.
Oh yeah, I think so. Pretty brutal reminder. There are some areas of our game that obviously were tested, and we didn't pass that test, and you know, we were bulldozed a bit. They ran over the top of us. You know, there were some areas of our game that weren't good and don't sit very comfortable with me. You know, they bullied us. Our missed tackles were an issue. Look, to a point, that's all right, NAB 3, but it is a reminder, you know, where we're at and where we've got to get to. And, you know, their use of the ball really tested us defensively and shook us early. And we recovered for a short period of time, and then they blew it out again at the end.
Mark, is it important to sort of maintain your zone structures in that sort of event so you can learn from that rather than going man on man?
Oh, I think so. Because, you know, you sit in the coach's box and there's a whole heap of information coming your way, and if you've been working to play a certain way and you've been doing it for 5 months, and on the basis of 1 quarter you throw it out the window, I don't think you're very strong in your convictions. And given that, you know, the NAB series is a series to prepare for round 1, I didn't think that would have been the appropriate response.
I think you can rectify on the track, Mark, or are they more structural problems or attitude?
No, missed tackles is not a structural issue. There's a little bit of, you know, technique stuff. There's a little bit of attitudinal work, but there's also there's a little bit of physical development going on there. The Hawks have, you know, they've got a core group of players that are bona fide elite AFL players, and that was great for our boys to play against that in the NAB series, I thought.
Did the events of the week at all, like you mentioned attitudinal work, did the events of the week sort of play on any of the boys' minds at all, or was it just a case that Hawthorn were just at another level?
I don't know. I can't speak on behalf of the players, but I doubt it. You know, Liam was he was never going to play this week. And, you know, I wouldn't be taking anything away from the way that Hawthorn played and putting that up as a reason. Absolutely not.
You spoken to Liam?
No.
Will you?
Oh, look, yes, I will. I'll speak to Liam when that time is appropriate. It'll be sooner rather than later.
Are you concerned that it might have an impact on the group?
No, I'm not concerned that it'll have an impact on the group. You know, these things, we're dealing with, look, all you guys have probably written articles about it and spoken about it. It's unique situation of which no one in this room is going to understand all the issues that go with it. And, you know, that includes me. You know, I suppose firstly it's right now that's a matter for the law to sort out, you know, and they will. Footy teams need to be defined, Pete, on what happens on the ground. And that's, you know, I'm his footy coach. You know, there are people that are qualified in those areas and they'll deal with that. You know, I'm Liam's footy coach and, you know, I'm concerned with what's going on out there. I can't answer. I don't know. I've never coached him. I got no idea.
Well, it looked like you could have used an extra tackle, certainly tonight.
Do you reckon Liam Jarrah is going to help me with the missed tackle count?
Well, what did you think about the attack?
Sorry?
What did you think about your attack tonight?
Yeah, I thought Mitch was okay. Had half a dozen shots at goal. Yeah, Jeremy Howe provides a bit of a highlight reel every now and then. He needs to get a little bit more consistent in some areas, but I thought he was okay. Thought Lyndon Dunn worked hard. Look, you know, it's been, you know, well, I don't want the press conference to be about Liam, but it's been well documented that he wasn't going to play in the first half of the year anyway due to injury. So I haven't factored him into anything.
Mark, can you take heart from any of the other aspects of tonight? You won the contested possession count, but I suppose that's balanced by the fact that it was almost the only way you could get the ball off them, really.
Yep, you're right. And no, I can't.
Nothing at all you could take positive?
No.
Jones Magna, is that a bad break on the
No, it's a very awkward-looking dislocation, or bad dislocation. It didn't look very flash. And again, being the time of the year that it is and the workload that Jimmy's done over pre-season, it was easier just to sub him out straight away.
Would that have any, like, obviously James has been talked about as one of the players that could be upgraded. Would that have any effect on that?
He's in. Look, I don't know. Right now, all they're saying is dislocation. So, if that's the correct diagnosis, then no, it won't.
What are your plans for next week, Mark? Just I guess in terms of the team that you want to play, do you want it to be the team that you're hoping to play around one, or how are you going to juggle that?
Primarily, yes. There's always the odd one due to injury that might not be ready to go that we might leave out. But primarily, yeah. We'd like to play a side that's going to be close to round one. But as we know, 7 days, long time in footy. What was my round one team 7 days ago is now not. So it may not be in 7 days' time either.
Jack Watts was obviously given a bit of a spray by your old friends there at Collingwood as well throughout the week. Look, were you happy with his response and his attack on the ball tonight?
Oh, yeah. Look, he's... in terms of response, he didn't go out there because Mick Moldhouse and Wayne Carey decided that, in their eyes, he didn't play very well. Jack didn't go out there to please those two. I thought his work rate has been quite good throughout the 3 games. And, yeah, so he's given himself a chance, you know, to be selected next week, and he's given himself a chance to play, you know, in round one. And, you know, part of... you know, what I'm learning, and I'm sure what Jack has already learnt, part of being Jack Watts is, for whatever reason, there's a fascination with a 20-year-old 40-game player in the media, and people either love to write about him or want to read about him. I'm not quite sure why, to be honest.
It's interesting you say he's giving himself a chance, so in your mind, he's not a, you know, most people would see him as a pretty certain selection for round one, but in your mind, that's still...
We've just been beaten by 80 points. Right now, if you want me to pencil in who's going to play round one, Couldn't give you too many names. That's a hard question to ask the coach 20 minutes after being thumped by 80 points.
Yeah, well, listen, I think it's been widely reported that Melbourne are probably going to play more of a contested brand of footy, and they've had a heavy focus on that over the summer, and yeah, we're really pleased with the balance of our game today. We had a really good spread on the outside of the contest, but also competed really well with Melbourne on the inside. So that gave us an opportunity to kick a winning score.
Alistair, you seem to be using those short passes and those sort of triangles really, really well to sort of bust through their zone. Is that a key focus of trying to beat those sort of heavily zoning and heavily pressing sides?
What we're trying to do is find the balance between using the ball smartly when players are free through the middle of the ground, and also identifying when those options aren't on and you can kick it long. And I thought that balance between using those players through the middle when they are free was, as opposed to kicking it long, was quite good tonight. We got some good goals out of going long to a tall target in terms of Hale and Franklin, and also got some opportunities for some of our smaller players to feature by running the ball up. So it makes it difficult to defend against when you got a side that's capable of doing both, and that's what we've been working on over the summer, and hopefully we can continue to do that.
In terms of preparing for round one, is it as good a tune-up as it's been?
Really, it's not so much about how we're performing in terms of it's more to do with the game time in our players, and that's what we've been pleased about. We got good game time into our players again tonight. Ellis and Osborne were able to get some good game time in the Box Hill game this afternoon. So yeah, that's the key for us, just to have as many players available who've got had good solid campaigns over the summer, and we're really pleased with our availability heading into round one. But we've got one more NAB game to get through. We'll find out the outcome of that probably later this evening or tomorrow, and then prepare ourselves for NAB 4 and then the main season.
Will you make it or not? I was going to say, will that alter what you want to do personnel-wise next week, just in terms of getting the team ready?
No, we'll make some judgments on our players once again. It'll be a little bit more flexible next week because we'll be 3-1 like it's going to be in the main season. So that will allow a bit more flexibility with our rotations and that sort of stuff, and be able to get a little bit more game time into our players. So that'll be good, and some of the NAB Cup rules will fall out of it next week, so we prepare for the main season. So whether it's a NAB Cup final or whether it's just a regional challenge game, we'll look forward to the opportunity to get some more minutes into our players, continue to try to comply with the way that we want to play our footy, and prepare ourselves for what's going to be a pretty hectic start to the season. We haven't taken the approach that winning is the big focus. And to be honest, I think 7 out of the coaches have had the same approach to us. It's all about the conditioning of your players, and it's very, very difficult time of year with the conditions. So what the Saints had to try to play in last week, if they would have played in those wet conditions, and then they're playing in about 38-degree heat in Perth. So the whole focus is on your players and match conditioning, and then being able to recover well and get ready to back it up the following week so they can prepare for the season. So whatever the outcome is of the actual games, if you continue to win, it's just a bonus, really.
You've spoken in this pre-season about not being too focused on Buddy up forward from that point of view. They would have performance tonight, must have really pleased you.
Yeah, and Buddy was able to play up through the middle of the ground on a few occasions throughout the course of the game. So that was really pleasing, and Jack Gunston's played nearly all of our pre-season, so we gave him a spell from playing a full game today, and he just came on in the second half. So we'll get Ruffy back into the mix in the next week or so. He'll play next week. We just need to determine where it will be, and once we establish the NAB 4 draw, then we'll make a decision on what we do with Ruff. But it'll be good to have him back in the mix. It will give us a little bit more flexibility of what we can do with all those guys.
How do you see that sort of playing out when you see less guys sort of rotating through the forward line a bit?
I don't know how it's going to play out, mate. The more flexible we can be in that regard, the better we'll be. We've gone on record before saying that we've been a little bit too one-dimensional up forward, with especially with Ruffy injured in the second part of last year. As good as Buddy was playing for us, he was a great target, but it did make our forward entries a little bit more predictable. So, Haley being a dangerous target up there and kicking goals like he did tonight, and Jack Gunston's had a pre-season game too where he's kicked goals. So it makes it difficult to try and combat them all.
Can Buddy be even more dangerous than what he already has been, considering he almost gets more time and space in the midfield, and he can sort of get his pace up and get a full head of steam, really?
I would just like the fact that he can mix his game up. We know that he's got some talents that are greater than just playing as a forward in our side, and as we saw tonight, he's still able to kick 4 or 5 goals, but also make a contribution in the middle of the ground. So if we got that flexibility in our side, I think it will help us. But ultimately, the area of the ground that he does his most damage for us is up forward. So we'll play him there the bulk of the time. But to have that flexibility to get him involved in the game when we might not be getting it inside 50 to him all that often, will be great for him and great for our side. No, we usually give that responsibility to the players to work that out amongst themselves, and that's the way it's unfolded. But we're still trialling it, of course, because he hasn't explored too much midfield work in the time that he's been at the club, and so he's still learning the caper through the middle of the ground. But thus far, we've been really pleased with the progress that he's made.
You say you're waiting on the draw next week to decide what you do with Roughhead. Fair to say, if you're interstate, you'd likely send him to Box Hill and keep him in?
No, we'll just wait and see. We've got Gibson that we need to give some game time to, and Mitchell and Shields, and there's probably Ellis and Osborne will come into calculations as well, and probably a couple others too. So we just need to work out the balance of it, and some of it will be to do with where we're playing and what ground and what opposition and that sort of stuff, but also to do with the balance of our side. And we've got to prepare ourselves for round one, and we've got to sit down as a match committee and work out whether or not that's better off with Ruffy trying to get himself ready for round one, because he's some chance to play round one. I think it's more unlikely than likely, but we need to work out what the better pathway is for him, whether he plays a couple of games at Box Hill or whether or not he plays a quarter or a half with the Hawthorn side next week.
You've got a tough job picking that round one side, given the number of guys you've got fit and seemingly in pretty good form.
Yeah. Well, that's the really good sides in the competition always have terrific depth, and if we can have that challenge for spots and a fit list, and that'll hopefully help us go deep into the season.
Is there a VFL game on the weekend when you have the cup game?
In the week off, there will be, but I think that's VFL round one, isn't it? That particular week. We haven't looked into it. Well, now that we know, once we find out what we're doing tomorrow, we'll have a great better understanding of what we're going to do and what our plans will be for the next couple of weeks.